there, today we're going to be talking about blood pressure. The first thing you need to do when you're preparing to take a blood pressure is to wash your hands, which I've already done, and gather your equipment. The equipment that we'll need today is your blood pressure cuff with the sphygmomanometer, stethoscope, and alcohol prep pads. Okay, so we have our patient here today, Mr. Kinch.
Hello.
So we have him seated here. Now he has a long sleeve shirt on. I wouldn't want to go right over top of this shirt. If it was a shirt like what I'm wearing where it's pretty form-fitting, that would be okay. But can you roll your sleeve up for us?
Sure.
Okay, so we need to have an exposed arm. You want to have the arm as close to the level of the heart as possible, and it should be supported. So you can use the table here. And what we're going to do first is we're going to palpate for his brachial artery. You should find that about the midline here. Okay, good. And then once you find it, you're going to take your blood pressure cuff, and you always have a marking on the cuff. So here we have the little circle. Sometimes you'll have an arrow or it'll say artery right on the cuff. And you want that to be lined up as best you can with that pulse site. And then the cuff should wrap around and be nice and snug. You don't want to be able to pull it off. And it's also important to have a properly fitted cuff. So this is an adult standard size cuff, which seems to be fitting really nicely. If it was too big, where I was wrapping around almost twice, then we would know that we need to get a smaller size cuff, which we do have the pediatric cuffs available. Or if it was barely making it around and the Velcro we were really having to stretch to get it on, then we also have extra large adult size cuffs available too. So we've got a nice fit. We've palpated for the brachial pulse. And I just want to show you how this works too before we actually get into the procedure. I often find that this is the hardest part for kids, is maneuvering the ball here. So first thing is you want to really hold it in the palm of your hand. I see a lot of students that hold it upside down, and that makes it really difficult to maneuver. So you want to hold it in the palm of your dominant hand, and then you've got the little valve here that turns to the right or to the left. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, we're going to turn it all the way to the right, and you really want to just finger tighten that, okay? Don't take two hands and really tighten it down as hard as you can, because you're not going to have two hands to loosen it. So just finger tighten to the right. Once you get it there with those two fingers, that's all you need. And I would just make sure you can easily move it to the left, and that's going to open up that valve when you're ready for that part. When you do open up the valve after you've inflated the cuff, you just want to barely turn that dial. I mean, just ever so slightly to start to open up and deflate that cuff. If you go really far to the left, it's just going to come out too quickly, and you'll have a hard time getting an accurate blood pressure read there. So now for the stethoscope, and we've got our alcohol wipes. Now if this was your own personal stethoscope, you wouldn't need to clean the earpieces every time, but for here in class we do clean the earpieces. And then what you always want to do every single time is to clean the part that's going to come in contact with the patient's skin. Okay, so for adults we're using the diaphragm, which is the larger side of the stethoscope, and we're going to alcohol that off here. And then we're just about ready to go. When you're putting the earpieces in your ears, if you can see here how this is angled down, that's not how you would want to put the stethoscope into your ears. You want it actually, as you're putting it on, to be angled up or kind of pointing up towards your nose when you put the earpieces into your ears. So we'll get those in. Got my ball, my diaphragm is going to go right on top of that brachial pulse here. And then Mr. Kinch, if you can kind of help me by hyperextending your arm here, especially when you're first learning, it's going to be a lot easier to have that arm kind of hyperextended. If you could just hold it here. There we go. That'll be great. And then we're going to go up and inflate the cuff between 140 and 160, and that's millimeters of mercury. We're going to start to go up here. And then just ever so slightly open up that valve there. And this is about the speed you want that to come down. And remember, we're listening for that first prominent beat And that's going to be our systolic pressure. And then that very last beat that we hear is going to be our diastolic. And once you're no longer hearing the beat, you can just open that valve up completely to deflate the cuff. Remove your stethoscope and then take that cuff right off the patient. And then the last thing you want to do is to record. And Mr. Kinch had a perfect blood pressure that we will record here. And then take care of your equipment and wash your hands. Thank you so much.